What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of The Rugby Show. We're basically the show where we talk about loads of interesting points all around the sport of rugby. The first episode did pretty well. You guys have really been enjoying it. And we were joined with the Rugby Guru. Well, we are actually joined with the Rugby Guru again today for episode 2. And today we're going to be answering a really interesting question of how can USA be better at rugby? So, hello, Rugby Guru.
How's it, Rugby?
Alright, so how do you reckon USA can be better? Do you reckon more investment would be a start, or...?
For me, it's actually a very interesting subject if you bring it on, because the United States got so much money, it really blows my mind that they haven't invested more into rugby. I know they've got a lot of sports different from rugby, but it really blows my mind that they haven't spent more on developing rugby.
Yeah, I mean, I think the NFL dominance as well has got a lot to do with it, with the American football. I mean, obviously that being the main sport over in USA itself. And then there's obviously probably baseball, I'd imagine, and basketball. So rugby has kind of fallen, I'd imagine, 4th place. Maybe soccer, I'd imagine soccer would probably be better than that as well, when it comes to them.
Yeah, it's true what you say, but if you have a look at Australian rugby as well, it's also basically the 3rd or 4th sport in Australia, and they're not doing too bad, I think.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
So another option then would be have more teams in the Major League Rugby. I believe it is currently 12 at the moment. Would you say that's something that they should try and introduce, or would you say there'd be more things they should be focusing on rather than just making more professional teams?
Yeah, look, what I think personally, if you take Japan for example, basically started off the same way the United States are doing now with the MLR. So they basically started off with maybe getting a couple of few known players to just join in on the leagues. And if you have a look at it now, it's become quite big. I mean, players from all over the world is in the Japan League. I even want to go so far as to say they probably now have some of the best players in the Japan League. So if USA can maybe replicate that, then I think that is probably one way they can improve.
Yeah, because that was actually going to be my next point, would be to sign better players, because obviously we know Ma Nonu is also in it. There's also quite a few others. We've got Mathieu Bastereau from France. So I do feel like, yeah, okay, you don't really want to go down the route of it being like the football/soccer with America, because I don't know if you knew this, but when it comes to soccer, it's called, is it the, I can't remember what it's called. The American League, but anyway, they're known for signing.
Isn't it also called Major League Soccer?
Is it Major League Soccer? I don't know. Yeah, the MLS. Yeah, right.
So,
Yeah. So, because they go down the route of signing usually the players that are near retirement. I couldn't name a few because obviously I'm more into rugby now. But by doing that, are they going to go down the same route as football? Would you say that's something they'd have to watch, or would that not really be a problem? Signing older players?
No, I don't really think it will be that much of an issue. I like to refer Japan as an example because basically they also started off by just signing the older players, and look at them now. They've got some of our best players in South Africa playing for them. I mean, they almost took the whole Lions squad. All their players are playing that side. Got a lot of the World Cup winners playing in Japan at the moment. So I think if as time go on, they will probably get more younger players playing that side, and even guys that's willing to maybe go for the 4-year or 5-year rule to actually represent USA.
Alright, okay. So would you say then the players, like for example South African players joining the MLR, then would you say that would impact their national team performance? Would it affect whether they'd be selected for the national team or not?
Yeah, look, I don't really think that will have such a big impact. They might learn a few stuff from the more experienced players, but overall, I think it will come down to which coaches they can get to coach the teams, and also the type of facilities that they use. We know they've got plenty of money, so they can have probably the best gyms and all that kind of stuff when it comes to rugby. So at the end of the day, I think it's going to come down to having a coach like, say, Rassie Erasmus or like Dave Rennie to actually go and coach that side.
Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to go on to next then is the national team for America. So do you reckon they should be playing more Tier 1 games in order to try and get the quality of their performances up? Or do you reckon it lies down to the fact of the points we just mentioned, like the NFL dominance, the investment and stuff? Or do you think, like I said, they should just be getting more experience, like playing Tier 1 nations like South Africa, Wales, England?
Yeah, look, before our time, actually before me and you, I know there's quite an age difference between me and you as well, but I'm talking way back even before my time. There used to be tours where national teams actually go on tour and play club teams from a certain country and then do 3 to 5 test series. I think if they might invest in doing something like that, maybe send USA to South Africa and play against our 5 or 4 top Super Rugby teams, and then maybe play 3 tests against us.
Yeah,
I think they will learn more out of that than playing the tier 2 nations.
Yeah, I would say that as well, because like USA, when it comes to like our autumn internationals over here, literally USA are hardly ever playing against any of us. So I do feel that kind of impacts the performance when it comes to World Cups, because they're not having that experience all the time playing the best of the best. It is quite unfair. I mean, at one point, I'm pretty sure Wales toured America a couple of years ago. I mean, even Wales played South Africa in America last summer, didn't they? But we didn't actually play America themselves.
Yeah. No, we didn't. So yeah, at the end of the day, I think. Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my throat tonight, but anyway,
No, that's all right.
I think the more tour matches they actually play, they're playing in what's the competition called, where Fiji and Samoa and Tonga and Japan used to be, the Pacific Nations Cup.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got that tournament, and they used to dominate that So for some reason they've gone backwards in that sense, and I think it's because of the quality of teams that they actually played that they went backwards.
Yeah, because I think another thing they've got as well is the players that play, like going back to the Pacific Nations Cup, most of the Fijian squad plays in Europe for really good teams. So obviously with America only being in the Major League Rugby, and obviously that's not reaching the heights as of yet. They probably will eventually. So that's probably coming down to it as well, hence why they're not doing as well in certain tournaments, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, another thing that they might be able to do is, I know that South Africa in the past have allowed, I think, Namibia and I think it was Argentina to play in our domestic cup competition. We're going to introduce Georgia this year or next year. They're actually going to play in our local club competition, and I mean, look what it did for Argentina. They're now one of the top teams in the World Rugby.
Yeah.
So that might be another option.
Yeah, I suppose it could. Yeah. So up next, then we are talking about, should America host a Rugby World Cup, and if so, when?
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot, and after the success of what Japan reached with their World Cup, I really thought for a moment that maybe the next World Cup after France should be hosted by America. I think it will allow them to invest a little bit more into rugby as a whole, because we know the Americans love attention, so they will definitely do a little bit more effort if they do get a World Cup.
Yeah, because I'd imagine as well, obviously with Japan, a lot of sponsors caught on to the whole rugby sort of feel to it as well. I don't know if you noticed, but around the whole pitches and stuff, there was so many more sponsors, and we were getting things, was it from Canon, that were doing the really cool camera angles and stuff throughout the game, which we never had that in any other Rugby World Cup. So imagine with it being
that was awesome.
Yeah, with it being in America, I'd imagine more brands like Coca-Cola and everything would click on to the whole fact as well.
Yeah, and another thing that I've noticed, I don't know if you're so much into it in the Japan League and stuff,
All right, okay.
and then also the Sunwolves in Super Rugby. They managed to get a crowd of roughly 20,000 for their game last week against I can't remember who they played, but I mean it was 2 hours away from an actual game in the Japan League.
Yeah.
So to draw that type of crowd for a Super Rugby game, while there's another game that's more important, which I think had more than 30 to 40,000 spectators. So, I mean, they've since the Rugby World Cup, Japan's population's also supporting the game more and so on. So I think the same effect will be there for USA should they host another the next World Cup.
Yeah. So another point then is sticking with the Rugby World Cup. Would you say it would benefit teams like America if the Rugby World Cup was to expand? Maybe have another pool or something, or are you completely against that?
Yeah, I'm actually against it because, like I said, I love to see strength versus strength. I mean, for some reason, the 20 team pool already seems too much for me. I would have maybe narrowed it down to maybe say 16 teams.
Oh, right, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
yeah,
I think...
because you get teams like Namibia and who else is there? Russia and those type of teams that get totally blown away in World Cups.
But then, is that down also to the fact then of how the Rugby World Cup is drawn, though? I mean, me personally, I'd like to see it drawn completely differently compared to the way it is now. Because the way it is now, you're having New Zealand and South Africa put together, and then you literally, like I said, you have like Namibia, and there was Canada as well, like all these other teams that really struggled to qualify, and then for them to not really have a chance in the World Cup. So maybe there should be something done about the whole drawing process, or maybe there should be like a third place prize where you go into like a bowl playoff like you have in sevens, would you say? Or again, would you rather it just be narrowed down?
Yeah, look, I would rather narrow it down. I think the picking process of the pools are quite good because you still have your qualification games that you need to play and so on. And I mean, the only reason why South Africa and New Zealand were drawn into one pool was because of the results of South Africa the previous 2 years when they were under Alistair Coetzee. So I think things were different. We probably wouldn't have been in the same pool, and Namibia and Canada wouldn't have had such a terrible pool to play in.
All right, okay. So then, sticking with the national team of America, would you say? Well, there's only two more questions left. Would you say like joining the Six Nations for them? Would that be an option? Would you say, or maybe joining the rugby championship?
Geez, yeah, it's interesting because at the moment we don't really know what is going to happen. There's a lot of speculations that is doing the rounds, but as it is at the moment, say the format stay as it is, probably then let's say USA and Georgia basically put in a relegation promotion game against Italy then for a Six Nations spot.
Alright, okay. Fair enough. And then if they were joining the Rugby Championship, let's just pretend that was happening. It's probably it's almost near impossible for that to ever happen. How would you say they would get on? Would they develop like Argentina, would you say? Or would they just not do well at all?
No, I personally think they would turn out the same way Italy is doing now. I think Italy has gone backwards since maybe joining the Six Nations. I know the first couple of years were good for them, but in the process they've regressed rather than progressed, and I think the same would happen to USA if they keep playing teams that's too strong for them at the moment.
Alright, okay, so that brings us to the end of all our points. So basically then, for USA to be better, we're saying host the World Cup, get more investment, and what would you say then after that?
Yeah, that's basically it. They need to invest in better coaches and maybe draw more experienced or more known players to their league competition. and then try and bid for the next World Cup. I think that is the three things that they need to do to really try and win the game.
Right, okay, fair enough. So that is going to be the end of today's video, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. This is obviously our second episode of the Rugby Show. We've still got loads more to come. So yeah, stay tuned for next week's episode. It's been pretty fun to do. It's been pretty fun chatting to you, Rugby Guru, as well. I feel like we have covered some of the main points in this question. If you guys do have any questions for us, please make sure you leave them in the comment section, and we will try and get onto it and try and do another video on them. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you go ahead and leave a like down below. Like I said, let me know in the comment section any questions you want answering. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe. We upload rugby videos all the time. And if you are interested, go ahead and check out the Rugby Guru's channel in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you in another episode of the Rugby Show. Peace out.